Okay, well, my name's Darren. I'm the IT Services Manager here at Telephone Europe. And today we're going to have a look at the situations facing schools with regards to cyber attacks and the threat that that poses. Okay, so we see a lot in the press about that. So exactly how bad is it really? Well, here's some examples over the past 12 months. The majority of headlines that you see do relate to businesses, but you'd be forgiven for thinking that it doesn't apply to schools, but actually it does. You can see that as an example for how ransomware brought a school to a standstill. So whilst there are threats, for businesses, what do these threats consist of? We have these problems with schools as well. So what is the problem? Well, the biggest one really is malware. Malware is an umbrella term, and it covers any software that is designed for malicious purposes. There's some different types of spyware sits on your computer, monitoring activity and gathering information. Trojan horses, they contain malicious code and it's hidden inside another program that you might have downloaded for a specific function. There's viruses and worms, which most of us are aware of. They spread and they're normally destructive in nature. So quite often they'll wipe data from your hard drive. Keyloggers will sit on a system. They'll record all of your key presses so they can capture credit card information and passwords and so on. One of the most common types of attack, though, is phishing, where something's pretending to be something that it isn't. And the way these work is that they'll attack the user effectively rather than the system. So what they'll try and do is they'll send emails through to people, and those emails will try and trick you into giving up your credentials and data. The idea is to try and get usernames, passwords, and so on. Here's an example of one that was aimed at users to try and trick them into validating their Office 365 account. And you can see at the top that the address that it's saying that it's coming from is from office365.net. But if you actually click on that email, it would come up with this web page, which looks genuine. People will be forgiven for putting the details in there and thinking that they'd validate it. But if you look at the domain at the top, you can see that the address, even though it's been redacted, isn't an Office 365 address. So if you put your details onto here, you would have given access to people to get onto your email account. Okay. Ransomware is another common type of malware, and ransomware is basically when a system gets infected and it encrypts all of your data, effectively holds you to ransom, demands payment for your system to be decrypted and to give you that back. Now, if you pay, there's no guarantee that you will get the data back anyway. And quite often ransomware is delivered via fake emails. A common one I've seen personally with companies that I've spoken to is the DPD failed delivery. And it'll ask you to click on there and try and rearrange a delivery. And then when you do, it infects your system with ransomware. So I've seen businesses and schools suffer from this one directly. So what's the impact of an attack? Why should we be bothered? What happens? Well, there's financial impacts. There's downtime and disruption to your teaching and learning. There's loss and damage to data, and then it costs money as well to actually recover from the breach. In addition to that, you may be breaching GDPR and safeguarding, and you might also cause damage to your school's reputation. So the impacts of attack aren't always just financial or data loss, but they can be substantial. Okay, now here's a video that's going to show you a little bit about what a cyber attack might look like and might give you a better idea as to what they actually involve.
I had a shot.
Has that been open the whole time?
Look at the B and the bike on a logo.
Seen the other side of the road.
Oh, is that my twin? Oh, it's a bike prototype.
It's exactly the same.
What the hell?
I've had people walking past are like, what are two Brompton stores doing right opposite each other?
So weird.
Like, I feel like I'm in some parallel universe.
That's a couple who are just in here, right?
Yeah.
They bought a bike.
They walked in from here.
And then they
across
went
the road
over
straight.
there.
Type in their website.
I'm really confused.
Go walk over there.
We just wondered what was going on. He was like, do you want to test out one of our bikes? No. They've got the same tags as us.
They're having those of Bromptons delivered into their shop.
What?
What's happening?
I think these are our...
Delivery 146.
You sure this isn't delivery for over the inside door?
Brompton. No, it's here, mate.
Are you Brompton?
No, Thrompton.
No, I can't even do it. What the hell? All right, we've got customers.
Hold on.
Hi, guys.
Parts are in a Brompton. How many parts?
£840. Super real leather. Bigger tyres.
Give us a demonstration.
There's a couple of different methods.
Sorry, just 1 second, sorry.
How many parts? Sorry. Actually, yes, stand back a second. Componentry, materials.
Gary, what's the smallest
If
size?
you don't want the mud guards, take them off.
See you later. Bye-bye. See ya.
What was that?
The guy said, tell me your favourite 3 things about the tyres.
What the hell is going on?
You're getting closed down.
Really? What should we do?
Oh, whoa.
What are you doing? Can you take the sign down, please?
This is not okay.
The fact that you don't know what to do in that situation, it's daunting, really.
It's one thing if you see it online, but as you see it right in front of you, kind of really brings it home that this is happening probably everywhere with every brand.
I was in so much shock, I was just going to take my t-shirt off and just walk out. I was like, what is going on? Like,
To see the company that you work for being undermined like that kind of really makes it real.
Every hack in this film is based on real criminal methods.
Okay, so you can see there really that cyber attacks, they are a real threat. But let's have a look at just how common they are, okay, especially with regards to schools. So here's some statistics. Why should schools care about it? Well, they do hold sensitive information. There's financial information, safeguarding records. You might think that because you're a school, you're safe, you're not going to be targeted, but a lot of cyber attacks don't discriminate. You know, they're not going to leave you alone because you're a school. If you get a phishing attack and you click on the link, it's not going to ignore you because you're a school. And at the end of the day, people want to make money. You know, so if they can get onto a system, they can lock that system down, demand payment from you, or if they can get some financial information or data that they can sell, then they're going to use it. You know, so the threat does matter to schools. But who's doing it? Okay, well, you do get criminals, and they're doing it basically to make money. You get hackers who are looking for kudos or to just disrupt, hack the planet. There's malicious insiders as well, people that just want to get their own back, or they're looking to further their own goals. Sometimes it's just honest mistakes from staff, clicking on the wrong button or sending something accidentally. And sometimes it's pupils as well who just want to show off really and put their skills to the test. Malware is actually increasing. It's a serious problem and it's been getting worse over the past 10 years or so. At the moment now, if we look at 2020, there are 1,139 million variants of malware, which is a ridiculous number, but it's about 300 million a day coming out, whatever, 3 million a day coming out. So it is a serious problem. If we look at the last 10 months, you can see that the rate that malware has been coming out has almost doubled since April last year. So the problem's getting worse. It's not really a case of if you get attacked by something, but when. So let's have a look at the statistics that came up in the National Cyber Security Centre report, the Cyber Security Breaches Survey from 2020. You can see that over 40% of primary schools had some sorts of cyber attack, and over 3/4 of the secondary schools as well. So that's a disturbing statistic. What form did they take? Well, most of the time it was fraudulent emails or people impersonating them, trying phishing attacks. But again, quite a high portion of viruses and malware were common as well. Compromised credentials, phishing and malicious insiders, those were the key things. So people having access to systems that they shouldn't be doing, people falling victim to phishing emails, similar to the one that I showed you earlier. And then people inside who are accessing systems that they shouldn't be doing. Those were the most common causes, really. Out of the schools that actually had an issue, 21% had pupils that were accessing systems that they shouldn't be doing, and 11% of staff accessing systems. So those are disturbing statistics, really. That's showing that internal security and policies aren't being adhered to correctly. Only 4% by comparison were unauthorized outsider usage. So, maybe people should be looking more at what they're doing internally and monitoring the staff and the pupils a little bit better as well. But out of those breaches, 3% resulted in leaks of confidential information. So that's a serious statistic as well. So if you look at it, really, only just over half of the attacks were actually down to malware or external forces, the human error and system glitches. And the troubling statistic here is that these are statistics that we can do something about. We can decrease the human error by educating people in what to do, and the system glitches we can do by making sure that systems are up to date and they're maintained properly, and we can have a big impact on that. Some more statistics that were coming out of it, really. Most schools agreed that losing access to IT services will cause a lot of disruption. Only half of schools think they're adequately prepared for a cyber attack, but again, I'd question whether that is actually the case. What is disturbing is that it can be nearly 6 months before you realise that you've actually been breached, and then another 2.5 months before you can actually contain it and clear it off all of your systems. Most primaries and secondary schools that have had a breach, a lot of them, a significant number, have had a financial impact, and some of them have had important data change without permission as well. So those are troubling statistics, really, and they're quite sobering, but that is all in a number of different reports, and I can make those available to you if you want to research those yourself. Now, people get all this information, and what do they do with it? Well, quite often they put it onto the dark web. Okay, so what is the dark web? Well, if you look at the internet, imagine the internet is an iceberg. The day-to-day internet that you see every day represents about 4% of the total internet. And then there's what we call the deep web, which is the internet that's being used by organizations and schools with some sort of restriction on there. So people need to log on to access data and so on. Below all of that, though, we've got the dark web, and this is where illegal activity takes place. And to access that, you need to get specialist software, like the Tor browser and things like that. And the dark web there's a lot of forums on there. There's a lot of sites where people can post information, where they can offer lists of email addresses for sale and passwords and things like that. So this is where all the illegal and anonymous activity takes place. Now, you might find that your credentials are actually for sale on the dark web. You might think that being a school, it's not really the case, but recently we did a sample dark web compromise report for a school based in Manchester, secondary school. Now, they're quite cyber aware. They're quite proactive. They're proactively promoting internet safety, and they're taking advice from some of the government bodies as well. So you'd be surprised, really, at what we found, but we did find that out of that, there were a number of email addresses that were found. The problem with that is that if you see email addresses on a spam list on the dark web, it increases your chance of being on a spam list. So that in turn means that you're going to fall victim to more phishing and malware emails. People are just going to send it to lists that they've purchased. And then if they get access to your email account with a password, from there they can use that account to reset passwords for other services. And they might be services that have got financial information and details on them. The other thing that we found on there, what you can see, is the encrypted passwords. Now, passwords get encrypted, but if you use the encryption, you can do a password lookup. There are sites out there where you can put the encrypted password in, and it'll tell you if it's able to decrypt that password. So again, people can uses, a lot of the time people use the same password for all of the services. So really, if you get access to one system and people using the same password, then they could use those credentials to get onto your other systems. And again, if they get onto your email address, they can do password resets and get onto other sites from there as well. Now, one of the things that we can do for schools is a compromise report. So similar to the one that you just seen. Normally we charge £50 for that, but a special offer today for you people, we'll do that for just half price. So if you're interested in getting a report to see if there's any information on the dark web about your school, then please just drop me an email. Okay, so how easy is it to create malware? Well, a lot of people think that you need to be some elite hacker to be able to do that, but in reality, it can be anybody. I'm going to show you now how easy it is to actually create some malware. So let's say we're starting out our own little hacking company. We download the Tor browser so we can get onto the darknet. We then purchase some Bitcoin, and we go onto a malware creation site. We decide we're going to set up a ransomware bot. We determine how much we're going to charge to decrypt the data, whether we're going to let people multiply that after a number of days, so the longer they leave it, the more they have to pay. And then we can put some additional information in as well. Once we've got the malware, we can then rent access to what's called a botnet. Now, botnets are machines that have been infected with spyware that allows them to be used remotely. So you can rent access to a botnet and you're actually using infected machines' resources to do all of your work for you. So again, it's keeping it anonymous. But we can rent these by the hour, and we can use those machines to get our malware sent out. So unfortunately, people will click on an email, and then next thing you know, they've been fallen victim to the ransomware. And we could be sending this out to millions of email addresses. So if you only have a small number of people that actually pay that, then you're going to start seeing the Bitcoin coming in, and pretty soon you'll be able to enjoy the spoils of your labor, really. So that's how straightforward it is. Pupils could be coming back from school and doing that. So what can you do to stop being the victim? Well, you could try that. Yeah, I wouldn't put much stock in it, to be honest. Better advice would be to follow some simple steps. So to help prevent malware, you want to make sure that you're using antivirus software on all of your systems, and use a good one as well. Make sure you keep that and your operating systems up to date. And it's important, because if you're updating your systems, there's vulnerabilities that are being patched out. So you're shutting the door off to hackers though who are looking to exploit those vulnerabilities. Control what people bring onto your network as well. So USB sticks that people have had on a machine at home, that might have something infected on it that they don't know about, and that can get onto your system and compromise your systems as well. And really just make sure that you're using everything that you've got available to you. So client-side firewalls are also important. They give you an extra layer of security. When it comes to phishing attacks, a lot of it is just being aware of what's going on, but certainly don't use an account that's got administrator access to open emails or browse the internet. If you're an administrator and you get attacked, it's got privileges then to spread across your entire network. So if you do think you've been breached, make sure that you change your passwords. Again, try and minimize the damage. If a staff member reports that they've been breached, don't discipline them. They won't tell you again if it happens. So educate them and work with them to make sure that you minimize the chance of anything happening from that, and again in the future, really. And then just check for the obvious signs. If you look at the email address it's come from, if you look at the grammar, logos, things like that, quite often that can raise a flag and make you think. So just if you're not sure, don't click on anything, really. Just be really careful what you do click on. Another thing is passwords as well. A lot of systems now allow you to use two-factor authentication, where they'll use send a code, for example, to a mobile, just to prove that you're the person who has access to it. Avoid using predictable passwords, use something complex. There are lists on Google of the most commonly used passwords, and if that's the case, then make sure that the passwords you're using aren't on there. Change your default passwords. You don't want anything like that to be left as standard on your router or your firewall or anything like that, because often it's the first one that it'll try. And don't use the same password for everything. Try and have a unique password for everything. If you use one password and get access to one system, you've got access to everything. You can use a password manager to make it easier to store all your passwords, and that way you don't have to have a mind the size of a planet to remember them all. But one common thing really is treat passwords like your toothbrush. Yeah, what do I mean? Well, change them every couple of months and don't let anybody else share them. A really important thing to think of is backing up all of your data. So if you do get a breach, you've got all of your data, everything that you need is available, and you can flatten the system and then restore back quickly from your backup. But be careful that you don't leave that permanently connected to your network, because if your network is compromised, it might also compromise the backup itself. So maybe consider backing up to the cloud. Over the past year or so, we've all been working remotely. And the rules really for that are the same. So make sure you've got up-to-date software, keep everything up to date in terms of your operating system, make sure everything's passworded and you're not using any default passwords. And then again, where possible, use additional layers of security. So how can we help? Well, I think the main thing really is that we could start with the Dark Web Compromise Report for you. That'd let us see if there's any compromised credentials out on the internet. Apart from that, we can then have a discussion with you about maybe doing a full security audit. We can see if your systems and anything has been compromised, and we can make some recommendations on there for you. We also offer a managed security service where we put in a full suite of services to improve your cybersecurity, and work with you on putting plans together in case you do get hacked, how to minimize the damage that causes, and how to respond in case of an incident, to make sure that you can survive with your data and your reputation intact. So those are sort of the services that we can do really to help schools with regards to their cybersecurity. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. Does anybody have any questions?
There's no immediate questions on the chat, but we've got a few participants here. Is there anything in particular people wanted to ask Darren whilst we've got him? Right, what would gold standard support be? We have light speed, Libra, I don't know, anti-ransomware. Darren, this might mean something to you.
Lightspeed, you mean the mobile device?
It's just in the chat
solution?
if you want to pick it up. If you have a look in the chat, there's a specific question from John.
Let's have a look. Okay. All right. Well, gold standard support. Well, we do offer tiered levels of service. So at a very base level, we'd put in a secure gateway device like a firewall, but not just a standard firewall. We'd effectively be an advanced security appliance with lots of additional features. You'd want endpoint protection, so not just antivirus. Antivirus works on about 47%, I think, of threats. A lot of the others just get straight past it. You really, what I'd look at there is to say, let's have a look at it on a case-by-case basis. We can often look at areas where you might be ticking the boxes in some, but not in others. And I think having a holistic approach to everything is a way to do it. How much does a full security audit cost? Well, if you go for the dark web scan, we can come out, we can have a look on site for you. We'll do that quite often for free. If we need to do like a full a day or so reporting or whatever around that, then there'd be a nominal charge for that. But normally we'll come out, we'll do a very basic sort of security scan and network scan, highlight any vulnerabilities, and then come back and present those to you. If you find that some information is listed on the dark web, what can you do about it? Well, to be honest, you can't get rid of the information. Once they've got it, it's out there. All you can do really is minimize it. So if you've got passwords there, make sure that the passwords aren't being used, make sure that you've changed them. I actually tested a colleague this morning. We put his personal email address on. He had a look that had shown on about 12 different breach sites, and he put the password in that he's using at the minute, and he found that that's appeared 138 times. So straight away, I've told him, go and change your password, because he's using the same password for everything. So if you do see any credentials on there, make sure you change your passwords. And if your email address is on the report, or it's on the dark web, again, just be careful. You're going to get emails sent to you at some point, and you're probably going to get more of them than you would if you weren't on the dark web. So it's important that you've got the defenses in place, and that you're careful about what you get in emails. Don't be clicking on links on an email. If you get something from Amazon, for example, say, you need to verify your account, log on to Amazon directly on the browser, and not through clicking on an email. If you need to verify your account, it will tell you when you log onto the website then, but don't click on links and emails. Okay, anything else?
What do people think about things later, Darren? Can they email you directly? Because we'll put the slides up, and I know you've got your details on there.
Yeah, you can give us a bell or email. Email is probably the best way, to be honest with you. If you've got any queries, drop me an email, let me know. I'm happy to have an initial phone call or Teams meeting with you. And if you want us to do a dark web scan on you, then like I said, we can get the ball rolling on that, and it'll give you a good place to start. I forgot to mention as well, if we do a scan on you and we don't find anything, there's no charge.
That's a reason to consider it, I suppose. Thank you, Darren. Thank you for your time today. I think that's been hugely helpful. And as Phil has said, it really brought the session to life, seeing how it can, really impact businesses and organisations. So thank you for bringing cyber threats to the forefront of our mind. And it's something other than COVID to be thinking about. So we appreciate your time today. We're going to take a comfort break now before we go to part 2 of the roundtable discussion. And then finally, we'll have the talking heads from Stephen Lester and Stephen Brown. So thank you, Darren, for your time and for the huge support from Telephone Europe in allowing us to pull together this virtual conference today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.